was very kind, very decent, you know. He was not a person you'd cross, but he was very generous by nature, very tough, but also very decent. And, you know, when there was money there, we got lots of stuff and you know, he worked really on the docks. And I remember he used to have Wrangler jeans, and the waist on the jeans were 48 I should say. And he used to fill the jeans with newspapers and stuff like that going in. So he always looked fairly bulky, or definitely overweight. And then he'd come back minus the paper, but with the whiskey and cigarettes. They always worked in gangs and they worked together. He was very staunch. He wouldn't give in to anyone down there. They stuck together. They all did. They were a good crew and they were trustworthy.
There's a few of us standing around down the docks, and you'd see someone coming along on the way. So here he comes. Everybody would find something else to do because you didn't know what he was going to do.
If he's above, he won't mind me telling. I'm hoping he doesn't mind me telling this story. But he would have been under constant surveillance by the Harbour Police. So around 8:20, he called into the office of the North Wall Extension, and he said, "You think you're smart, the whole lot. See, can you see what I'm doing?" 20 to 10, I saw him cycle up to North Wall Extension. 2 Harbour policemen took him off his bike, searched him, searched his jacket, nothing. At 11 o'clock, I saw him cycle up. 12 o'clock. 1:30, I did that to him out the window. Half an hour later, he came in. He said, "What do you think is going on?" He says, "You're robbing bikes. The first 4 were blue and the last one was black." So at the end of the day, he didn't even, I was upstairs, he didn't even bother going up the stairs. He just roared up, "There go, 12!
I had the pleasure of working with him as a docker, and I always found him, quite honestly, to work with, one of the best guys to work with. He could teach you an awful lot about dock work. Dockology, they used to call it, the older dockers, dockology.
He was a hard caver. But they were all wired. Well, that was the way it was on the docks.
My father went with Paddy Currie to Belfast and they joined the British Army. Father was sent to the desert and Paddy was sent to Far East. My father and Paddy were great friends and they took the Queen's shilling as they used, that's what they called it. Yeah, okay. But my father was never ashamed of it. Fatser Currie was never ashamed of it. But we had a whole load of kids at home and Paddy Currie had a load of kids. He was going to feed them. There was no social welfare in them days. And that's what they did. Very brave men. Paddy Currie did the right thing, my father did the right thing, and the other men did the right thing. They fed their families.
So between the 8th of December and the 31st of January, there is a fierce battle over Malaya, and basically the British are conducting a fighting retreat all the way back up to Peninsula. And the Japanese then lay down a very, very heavy bombardment of the island of Singapore for days and days and days, and they eventually land on the island on the 8th of February 1942. Very, very fierce fighting. It's a very, very concentrated area as well. It's very, very, very small. But within a week, the Japanese couldn't be dislodged. So the decision was taken on the 15th of February then to surrender. It was the greatest single military disaster the British Empire had ever faced. The major problem with a lot of the Japanese prisons was overcrowding. They weren't prepared for the sheer amount of prisoners. They didn't expect to take prisoners. And then when the British and the Commonwealth soldiers are surrendering in their tens of thousands, the Japanese have nowhere to put them. Add that onto their attitude towards the men that they're capturing and you have a lethal combination.
It obviously toughened him up, and he was never going to be beaten, and if he was going to be beaten, he would die before he'd be beaten. He fell sick one day, and the Japanese came over, and they started prodding at him like with the feet and the bayonet and to get up, and he wouldn't get up. He'd had enough of it. And he was very stubborn at times, and he held onto a tree. Well, they stuck the bayonet in him, and he still held onto the tree. He would have died at the tree, only the commanding officer ordered him up from the tree. A few months later, one of the guards came up and said, "I don't think you'll have much time left to wait," basically that the war was over. I suppose he saved a few lives, gave them a little bit of hope that there was a bit of light at the end of the tunnel, you know. He passed away in July 1994. He would have been 82. He was sharp, he was still sharp. You know, buy and sell you. Of course I miss him, you know. I miss him, and I still miss him, but you know, as time goes by, and wounds heal a little bit, but you never totally forget about somebody, you know. That's what happens. You live and you die, and the bit in between is your life.
Fatser Currie that I knew, he was a gentle giant. He was very good to me. He was a hard man, I have to say that. He was a hard man, and he stood up for himself, and he stood up for what he believed in. And one of the best dockers you would ever come across.